Hello, this is day 76 of reading one canto of the Divine Comedy every day. We're on Paradiso, Canto 9, which I'll read from the Longfellow translation before giving some very quick comments. Beautiful Clemence, after that thy Charles had me enlightened, he narrated to me the treacheries his siege should undergo, but said, Be still, and let the years roll round. So I can only say that lamentation legitimate shall follow on your wrongs. And of that holy light the life already had to the sun which fills it turned again, as to that good which for each thing sufficeth. Ah, souls deceived and creatures impious, who from such good do turn away your hearts, directing upon vanity your foreheads. And now behold, another one of those splendors approached me, and its will to pleasure me it signified by brightening outwardly. The eyes of Beatrice the fastened were upon me, as before, of dear assent to my desire assurance gave to me. Ah, bring swift compensation to my wish, thou blessed spirit, I said, and give me proof that what I think in thee I can reflect. Whereat the light, that still was new to me, out of its depths, whence it before was singing, as one delighted to do good, continued. Within that region of the land depraved of Italy that lies between Rialto and fountainheads of Brenta and of Piava, rises a hill and mounts not very high, wherefrom descended formerly a torch that made upon that region great assault. Out of one root were born both I and it. Cunitza I was called, and here I shine because the splendor of this star overcame me. But gladly to myself the cause I pardon of my allotment, and it does not grieve me, which would perhaps seem strong unto your vulgar. Of this so lucilent and precious jewel, which of our heaven is nearest unto me, great fame remained, and ere it die away, this 100th year shall yet quintupled be. See if man ought to make him excellent, so that another life the first may leave. And thus thinks not the present multitude, shut in by Adige and Tagliamento, nor yet for being scourged is penitent. But soon 'twill be that Padua and the marsh will change the water that Vicenza bathes, because the folk are stubborn against duty. And where the Sile and Cagnano join, one lordeth it, and goes with lofty head, for catching whom even now the net is making. Feltro, moreover, of her impious pastor, shall weep the crime, which shall so monstrous be that for the like none ever entered Malta. Ample exceedingly would be the vat that of the Ferraries could hold the blood, and weary who should weigh it ounce by ounce. Of which this courteous priest shall make a gift to show himself a partisan, and such gifts will to the living of the land conform. Above us there are mirrors, thrones you call them, from which shine out on us God judicant, so that this utterance seems good to us. Here it was silent, and it had the semblance of being turned elsewhither, by the wheel on which it entered as it was before. The other joy, already known to me, became a thing transplendent in my sight, as a fine ruby smitten by the sun. Through joy effulgence is acquired above, as here a smile, but down below the shade outwardly darkens, as the mind is sad. God seeth all things, and in him, blessed spirit, thy sight is, said I, so that never will of his can possibly from thee be hidden. Thy voice, then, that forever makes the heavens glad with the singing of those holy fires, which of their 6 wings make themselves a cowl, wherefore does it not satisfy my longings? Indeed, I would not wait thy questioning if I in thee were as thou art in me. The greatest of the valleys where the water expands itself, forthwith its words began, that sea accepted which the earth engarlands, between discordant shores against the sun extends so far, that it meridian makes where it was wont before to make the horizon. I was a dweller on that valley's shore, twixt Ebro and Magra, that with journey short doth from the Tuscan part the Genoese. With the same sunset and same sunrise nearly sit Bugia, and the city whence I was, that with its blood once made the harbor hot. Folco, that people called me, unto whom my name was known, and now with me this heaven imprints itself, as I did once with it. For more, the daughter of Belus never burned, offending both Sychaeus and Crusa, than I, so long as it became my locks. Nor yet that Rhodophian, who deluded was by Demophoon, nor yet Alcides, when Iole he in his heart had locked. Yet here is no repenting, but we smile, not at the fault, which comes not back to mind, but at the power which ordered and foresaw. Here we behold the art that doth adorn with such affection, and the good discover, whereby the world above turns that below. But that thou, wholly satisfied, mayest bear thy wishes hence, which in this sphere are born, still farther to proceed behoveth me. Thou fain wouldst know who is within this light, that here beside me thus is scintillating, even as a sunbeam in the limpid water. Then know thou that within there is at rest Rahab, and being to our order joined, with her in its supremest grade 'tis sealed. Into this heaven, where ends the shadowy cone cast by your world, before all other souls, first of Christ's triumph was she taken up. Full meet it was to leave her in some heaven, even as a palm of the high victory which he acquired with one palm and the other, because she favored the first glorious deed of Joshua upon the Holy Land, that little stirs the memory of the Pope. Thy city, which an offshoot is of him who first upon his Maker turned his back, and whose ambition is so sorely wept, brings forth and scatters the accursed flower, which both the sheep and lambs hath led astray, since it has turned the shepherd to a wolf. For this, the Evangel and the mighty doctors are derelict, and only the decretals so studied that it shows upon their margins. On this are Pope and Cardinals intent. Their meditations reach not Nazareth, there where his pinions Gabriel unfolded, but Vatican and the other parts elect of Rome, which have a cemetery been unto the soldiery that followed Peter, shall soon be free from this adultery. All three of the souls that Dante encounters and speaks to here confess that they, in their lives, were rather amorous, sinfully so at times. This includes Cunitia and Folquet and Rahab from the Bible, who was a prostitute prior to the arrival of Joshua and the Israelites at Jericho. What strikes me immediately about this is that, despite this being heaven, the divisions still seem ordered around vices. It's like, oh, you're here because you did this at some point. Yes, you repented of it. Yes, you're totally okay with that. But yeah, that's still how we organize it here. We have yet to see a sphere that's ordered around a certain virtue, for example. Like, oh, the most brave souls end up here. Now, there's a few different ways that we can interpret that fact. Number one, we could say, well, Dante is not himself capable of comprehending heaven, which is true. And so he's getting as close as he can with something that he can understand, which is vice, like I was saying. Again, most people read the Inferno because that's closest to our level of understanding. Or we can read it in another way, which I find a little bit more optimistic, and that is, it is organized in that way to show that every single kind of sinner can be redeemed. Every single one is capable of turning their life around and making it to salvation. And that's the interpretation that I find much more useful.
Although it turns out this take of mine was a little bit premature. Some footnotes from Mark Musa clarify that the line in this canto referring to planets in the shadow of the Earth, referring to Venus and Mercury, actually means that this is the last of the spheres where souls are organized in this way. Afterwards, it's going to follow a completely new system. We should be watching to see what that is.
That's all for today, though. I'll see you tomorrow.